Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, depending on when you're logging into this. And welcome to the 8th grade white team. So my name is Mr. Elsen, and I am the team leader. I wanted to post a quick video that will be useful for parents as well as students. So I want to start with a big disclaimer. This will not be like fourth quarter of the previous school year when the pandemic first started. Parents will not and guardians will not be expected to homeschool children. As far as parent and guardian support, all we are asking for is to help with devices, making sure that devices are charged up, making sure that they have internet access. That is all the support that we need from the parents and guardians. Now, for the students, I have a disclaimer for you as well. This is not going to be what they call sit and get style of class where you just sit in front of a computer all day listening to videos and people talk. And there's going to be a lot of hands-on stuff and as much collaboration with other students as we can possibly do and still be safe. Okay, so I wanted to talk a little bit about this Microsoft Teams that you see on my screen here. So this is Microsoft Teams. This is going to be our home base. It's going to be our backbone. You're going to get really familiar with this and logging into it on a regular basis. So here's school from this point onward until other things change. School is going to be this. At 8 o'clock in the morning, you need to have a device, and I would start earlier than 8 o'clock. You need to have a device that has internet access, and you need to go to office.com. And that's your habit. So just get used to office.com. Have a device that can get to the internet and go to office.com. 5 days a week from 8 a.m. to about 3 p.m. You're going to be going to office.com. So you'll get used to that. And I'll show you real quick what office.com looks like. So when you go to office.com, you will see this or something similar to it. And for those of you who are really into Google, this is fairly similar to Google stuff. The first three icons that appear on this side here are a Word document and an Excel document and a PowerPoint like Google Slides. And then below that, you have all sorts of other stuff like email and a OneDrive, which is just like a Google Drive. Class notebooks are called OneNotes. And then down here is the Microsoft Teams button. So you're going to want to click on that every morning when you first go to school. It's basically clicking on Microsoft Teams. So there are two versions of this. There is this version, which is the browser version. And then if I click over here, this is the app version. Now, if you're on a Chromebook, you won't be able to do this app version. All of your stuff is going to be through what they call a browser. So this is the browser version. It's very similar to the other version, so I wouldn't worry too much about, is this a browser, is this an app? Okay, so now that we have all this basic stuff talked about, I want to look into Microsoft Teams and set up our Teams etiquette, just the basics. What are my expectations? Just real simple basics of how we interact using Microsoft Teams. So there's really only two things I want to talk about. One is these groups. So students will be assigned to groups, and inside these groups, I ask that you remain school appropriate and that you try and stick with your own groups. And here's an example of what not to do. This student here clicked into a different group and typed group 5 sucks. No, don't do that. So make sure you're being appropriate through all this stuff and kind to others as well. Now, if we go to the general, you'll see that there is a class notebook and all this other stuff. But also what you'll notice is this meet button. So things will pop up down here that say you're going to join a meeting. And this is where we have everybody meeting digitally. So you have a camera as well as a mic. One of our main expectations is that when you join a meeting, you have your camera muted and you have your mic muted. That way, if you have a dog barking off in the background, no one else has to hear that. And then when it's time for you to share, you can unmute yourself. No one is forced to unmute their cameras. You can keep your camera muted the entire time. If you ever need help, there is a little chat room that pops up in here, and you can ask for help through the chat if you would like. So that's the basics. Welcome to the 8th grade white team. Feel free to email me with questions or concerns, and hope to see you on the first day of school.